Joining us now in a CNBC exclusive interview to discuss this is John Engler, former Michigan governor and former Business Roundtable president. Governor, thanks for being with us. How big of a shift is this?
I don't think it's a big shift. I think it's an important restatement, though, of what has been largely true for companies across the country. We talked when I was at the roundtable about long-term sustainable value creation, and to be long-term, to be sustainable, you've got to pay attention to customers, to your employees, certainly to your community and environmental obligations. You've got 125 different ratings out there for ESG, environment, social governance criteria. So I think companies have been doing this, and I think the good companies, the successful ones, they're well aware of the broader responsibilities, but you still, if you're Mary Barra, still have to sell cars. If you're Jamie Dimon, you still want to make some loans.
But isn't, sir, the CEO always going to be focused on the share price appreciation? At the end of the day, that's going to determine things like bonuses, whether they have their job or not after a set period of years.
Oh, I think there's no question, and you're just talking about good news in the market the last 3 days. The investors are going to pay attention to that, too. So that's still very much part of the equation. But I think one of the points that I thought about when they made the announcement on today of the restatement of the corporate governance principles, you're really trying to send a message to millennials, too. At a time when I think there was a survey just a few weeks back that Gallup did for Harvard, over half the millennials are disfavoring capitalism. We've got to tell the story differently and better, and I think that's what the BRT is also very sensitive to, is that we better let the American public, especially this massive new generation that's coming up, understand what's brought them unprecedented wealth and success and opportunity. And the statement also, I thought, was notable in that it didn't call for Senator Warren to be appointing the boards of directors or Senator Sanders to be setting the energy policy for the companies. It talked about freedom as a fundamental core principle, and that's very important. And, free economy with freer markets, and then paying attention to a broad set of principles and constituencies, that's a pretty smart way to go, I think.
What about the companies that didn't sign on, the BRT members that didn't sign it? Now, we don't know why in each individual case, but Alcoa, Blackstone, GE, Kaiser Permanente, NextEra, Parker Hannifin, State Farm. What does that say, do you think, if anything?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you take Steve Schwarzman. He just made, what, $150 million gift to Oxford to set up a new center there. He's done something similar in terms of the Schwarzman Scholar. So he's certainly been giving back, and he's been paying attention to a broad set of issues, because the center at Oxford, I think, is on the humanities. So I think there were only a handful. There were over 181 CEOs signed, and anytime any organization get 181 of approximately 200 to sign, or 190. That's pretty successful. And I think, according to the release, there were some who were interim CEOs and others. I mean, you obviously named a couple that are well established. So I don't know what those reasons were, and I'm not there now. But I think the statement, it's nicely timed. I think with this presidential campaign already underway in 2019 for next year, I think it's important to say to the American public that this economic engine of the United States, which is really driven by business, there are some key principles, and there are some key sort of guardrails that ought to be in place so that they can go out and compete, because we're not just competing for favor here. We're competing against a very tough set of global competitors, and you just talked about one in Huawei, where the government and the company are hard to sort out. And that kind of competition isn't fair, it isn't even, and it's complicated. Then when you get into the China tariff, China trade negotiation, where the key United States demand there is protect our intellectual property. I mean, our freedom has allowed us to create a lot of things, but we need to keep it and not have it stolen. And I think this is to me, it's a great statement, and it's a great way to go on offense and defend free markets and companies that are free to go and compete, recognizing they don't do that without obligations to broader communities.
Governor, does it do anything different in practice? Do companies do anything differently in practice as a result of this?
Oh, Sarah, I think a lot of these companies have been doing a lot of this all along. If you look at just the roundtable member companies, I mean, they give billions of dollars away each year. Who's the first one that gets a call when there's a natural disaster? The companies in the area. When the community needs something, the companies get the call. So I think it allows them, and here's what I hope it does. It arms them with a set of talking points to go out and explain and to do a little work with the public, because we aren't teaching economics in school anymore. Somebody's got to do it, and who better to do it than the major employers? And especially at a time when wages have been going up, savings have been going up. We've talked about the consumer strength. I don't think there's a recession in sight for 2020, but there is a lot of political headwind that's campaign rhetoric. But if that ever became transferred from campaign rhetoric to national policy, heaven help us. And I think this statement today says, look, here's something that's not broke. And in fact, we're doing some things that are really important. Let's let this go forward. But I think corporate America has to do a much better job of stating this case. And I hope that this set of corporate principles allows every CEO to go make about 5 speeches in the next year in the middle of this campaign season about why what they're doing is important and it shouldn't be curbed by the government.
Mr. Engler, we appreciate the time very much. We'll talk to you soon. That's John Engler.
Thank you very much.